Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I want to apologize to some of you regulars that are used to having me put out a video at a certain time, and I didn't get it out as normal time today because we've been busy around here. We've been just kind of hectic busy, not bad hectic, but just busy. We decided something we've been wanting to do for a while is we want to do a complete inventory of everything that for our preps. And I get on here all the time trying to encourage you all to get yourselves ready, and sometimes I need to take a pause so that I can help get my own family ready, and so that's what we did. And we wanted to make sure this is something I would recommend for all of you to do, no matter how little or how much you have, to take the time to do it. And do it right, make sure everything is rotated properly, and that you know what you have. You make sure the condition, you may have stuff in the back of a shelf that's, starting to kind of look bad. And you want to make sure you know the condition and what you have. That way, when you're out and you run across a good price on something, or you're out shopping and you're like, man, I can't remember exactly what I need. You don't want to buy something that you already have plenty of and neglect getting things that you really, are low on. And so it's just good thing to do, and it's something that we did today. It's what we've been doing all day. I'm kind of wore out. Just it's a lot of work, and on top of that, we also did a bunch of cleaning along with it. So I guess I should clarify that it wasn't just inventory, it was also cleaning. Anyways, I just want to let you know that that's what we've been doing. And we're going to talk about something different today. We're going to go back to the subject of Russia and Ukraine, because there's a lot of stuff going on over there. And I think we're going to see more and more escalation. And it just looks like that Europe is just wanting to be involved in a war with Russia. I'll point you to some evidence of that here in just a minute. But I think that it's just all it's telling me is to continue to get ready, because I don't think this is going to be over for any time too soon. Wanted to mention, for those of you in the Jefferson City, Missouri, mid-Missouri area, there is a preparedness meeting this weekend, Saturday, the 9th of April, that evening around 5 o'clock. It's not a meeting that I'm hosting. It's just another group that we help promote. And there's an email that should be popping up here. If you're interested in going to that meeting, shoot this guy an email. We have met and we have talked privately several times. He is a super, super great guy. You will enjoy the meetings there. They're doing a lot of good stuff there in the mid-Missouri area, central Missouri. So if you're in that neighborhood, Columbia and Sedalia, Jefferson City, that's probably one of the closest places you can find to find very much like-minded people there. So that's this Saturday, April the 9th. And encourage you to go and support this group, be part of it, get to know other people like yourself. So this whole thing with Russia and Ukraine, I mean, you all probably know what's going on. It's all over the news. This Bucha, where they have apparently Russia has committed some very serious war crimes. There's video. Probably a lot of you have seen the images, and they're very graphic. I'm not going to show them. I mean, if they're real, and a lot of them, I don't know how they could be faked, of just bodies just laying everywhere through the streets. They're pretty graphic. And the claim is that this was Russia doing this. As they were leaving the area, I guess they went around and just started executing private citizens. There's also reports of rape and other horrific things that were done to the citizens there. And because of that, of course, I mean, if that's all true, and rightfully so, the Ukrainians and much of the rest of the world is just shocked and horrified by this, because this is a horrific thing. I will point out that the Pentagon has said that they cannot confirm or deny that this was Russia actually doing this. Now, there have been some reports of drone footage and some satellite imagery that indicates that it was Russia doing this. But as the information that I have found, there's been nothing absolute conclusive with this. And I'm not trying to favor the Russians in this at all. I'm just saying that, as we all know, since the beginning of this, there have been a lot, just a ton of propaganda. a ton of propaganda. And whether or not this could be propaganda, or this could be a false flag, or it's legitimately what they say it is, it's all means bad news, because regardless of what the truth is, I think that this is going to just continue to escalate things. It's going to drag this out. It's going to make it harder for a peace deal to happen. And I think that means bad news for the rest of us. As this gets drawn out, obviously it's going to be bad for the people that are involved there directly, but for the rest of the world, the economic problems, the food supply problems, it's going to worsen. But aside from all of that, it looks like to me that Europe wants to be in a war with Russia. They really want it. And I guess strategically from their position, they see what's happening and they don't trust that Putin is just going to only take Ukraine and leave everyone else alone. They want some reason to go in there. They need time, though. They need time to get themselves ready. And they probably don't want to make it look like that they are the ones that start the fight. This is all my assumptions. But if you look at some of the stuff that's playing out in some of these countries, I mean, like, how much more are they going to poke the bear? Poland is saying that they are wanting the U.S. to place nuclear weapons on Polish soil, and as many as they want. They're all for it. They'll support it. And apparently, the information I've been getting or reading is that they have been in communications with the United States government about doing so. I have not heard yet if that's even a possibility, or if the U.S. would even be willing to do that. But you've got to think that if Putin hears this, and he has obviously, I mean, what if Russia decided to place nukes in Mexico? What would we do? I mean, we would definitely do something. So there's right there an escalation point. Even if we don't, just the fact that it's being talked about is enough to potentially cause an escalation. The big ones, though, is Finland. Finland is trying to be part of NATO. Now, everyone's been focused on Ukraine, but Putin, before all this, at the beginning of all this, and since all this started, he has made it known that if Finland and Sweden and a few other countries, if they try to be part of NATO, they will be, hurting in the same way that Ukraine is. And Finland has been very open. They say that their population wants it. They have been in contact with almost all of the NATO countries. And the Secretary General of NATO has said that they would welcome Finland and Sweden, and that if they apply, that they're assured that they would be very quickly approved. It sounds like NATO's wanting to fight with Russia, because if this happens, I can't imagine any other way of this playing out that Russia would not try to attack Finland or Sweden. Now, I guess you could say, well, if he does it before they sign the agreement, as well as I do, once that, once the application is in and once the process is started, it's going to escalate and bring in NATO. NATO, you're not going to have NATO saying this and Finland applying, and just before the vote is approved or whatever, they get bombed and say, well, sorry, you weren't part of NATO. That's not how it's going to work. This would most likely bring NATO in, which is going to bring us in. And if it all plays out, which right now, that's what it looks like we're headed, it could just make things a lot worse for us. When we talk about in the last several videos, when we talk about our economic problems, when we talk about food shortages and food prices, and I say how bad it's going to get, that's all based on the fact that what is going on now pretty much stays happening. It continues to happen, but it's kind of, what's going on now. If things escalate, if something happens that damages the food supply system, some type of disaster, another stuck ship in the Suez Canal or something like that, or big wildfires spread across the plains, or some type of natural disaster or whatever, or us and NATO getting involved into basically a world war, um, it would worsen all those predictions. It would worsen the outlook. So everything that we've talked about of how bad it's going to probably be between the food and the inflation, the economy, and all these, millions of people now that are going to be flooding across the border, that whole scenario would get a lot worse. If we were involved in a war with Russia, and that would most likely lead to some type of interaction with China, whether a hot war or sanctions or something. And then, of course, we're not even talking about too much here lately that a lot of China is on very strict lockdown. Shanghai and other places that produce a lot of stuff that comes over here, they're being locked down, very hard lockdown. So the point to all this is, folks, is that it's the possibility of things escalating in the near future, I think, are pretty good. Russia, we saw, was it a week or so ago? Many of you saw the stuff that was going around about Ukrainian troops that were shooting Russian POWs. They were shooting them in the leg, beating them, things like that. Well, of course, Russia sees that kind of stuff, and Russia just, which, you should. Like, if we saw American soldiers, many of you are old enough to easily remember Black Hawk Down, the whole situation there in Somalia. And we become enraged when we see that, and we want to go in there and we want to smite them hard. And then now, it's reversed, where Ukrainians are being murdered in the streets and raped and butchered and stuff. Of course, the Ukrainians want to, and people that support Ukraine. Whether or not these things just have happened, or they were planned out, or they're false flags, or whatever, it almost doesn't even matter anymore. What matters is that this is escalating. I don't see any other way. And when you're dealing with someone like Putin, like Russia, that's nuclear power, that has a whole lot more weapons, men, and technology than what they have used so far. Their military capabilities are far greater than what we've seen in the last month or so. I think that this could escalate quite a bit, and it just means that you and I have to get prepared more. We have to continue stocking up. We have to make those connections and build upon those connections, and just continue to get yourselves ready. I cannot emphasize that enough. Get ready for your gardens. If you haven't already, look into more and more ways to produce food on your own. It's good to have a stock of supplies, but you need to look into also producing your own food. One company I mention all the time on here, My Patriot Supply, there's a link down in the description below. It's preparewithtravis.com, and it's a good place to buy your emergency freeze-dried stuff. And they're really trying hard to keep their prices down. The people that own that company, they're like us, okay? They actually were preppers that started it. I mean, they're not just some big company that likes to make money off of people. They're very much like-minded people. And that's a good place to buy food from. But there's all kinds of other places to buy food from. The vast majority of our food preps are not freeze-dried food. I mean, we have some, but that's not the big bulk of it. It's good to have, though. Because things are going to get tough, but in the end, you want seeds. I just happen to have some seeds laying here. You want this kind of stuff. Here's this is what you want. Animals, you want to become self-sufficient. Watch the video I did just a couple of days ago on that. You really want to become self-sufficient, because this is going to continue to escalate. I cannot imagine this just up and disappearing, this whole scenario, and everything just going back to normal. There is no going back to normal, folks. Said the other day in a video, it's all this new normal stuff. That's the new key, catchphrase, new normal. Well, the new normal is this turmoil, and the new normal is food crisis and high food prices and barely enough food to go around, and that's going to be the new normal. So, folks, you need to get yourself ready, stock up, prepare, work on becoming as self-sufficient as possible. Because other than just, your spiritual relationship with Father and your mental toughness, that's going to be the most important thing, is being self-sufficient. Thank you for watching, folks. Get your houses in order. You know what I mean by that. I'll catch you in the next video.